Hi and welcome to Spill the Tea with LLIB. I'm Cal.
And I'm Claire.
And together we founded the incredible platform that is Leading Ladies in Business, a platform that inspires and supports female business women across the globe.
In this episode of Spill the Tea with LLIB, we're joined by Katherine Jones, an entrepreneur who has achieved incredible heights in her business while staying grounded. Her journey is a testament to the fact that success need not come at the expense of kindness and genuine connection with others. So Kath, spill the tea on what the journey as a woman in business has been like for you so far.
Okay, well, it's had plenty of ups and downs. It's been fun. I started my business journey solo about 5 years ago. That was with my first business, which was called Social Nation. It's an influencer marketing agency. So we manage people with large social media followings and we pair them with brands that are fitting to them. I started that about 5 years ago, but I quickly realised from what we were doing with the influencers that I would like to have my own product so that I could use these influencers to push my product also and hopefully have a successful e-commerce company as well, which is what led to the creation of my business that I'm always, you see me always pushing everywhere, that I'm always talking about, and that's called Think Wine. And my wine, I've just got the two products at the minute. So one is a Prosecco, the other's a Pinot Grigio Sparkling Rosé. They're both super low in sugar, and that's purely down to me and my constant battles with weight. I've always been, up and down. I can lose weight quite quickly, but I can also gain it rapidly. So I've always kind of battled with sugar. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to create a wine that just had way less sugar in it? And that's, I went about creating that. I've always loved wine. So, I always went on wine holidays. Yeah. Wine tasting events, anything that I could do to taste wine. I loved it. So I thought, imagine I could create my own product and it was still delicious. That's the key point.
Yeah.
Still 11% ABV. So we haven't reduced the alcohol, but the sugar levels are so much lower, which in turn makes it less calories. So in our full bottles of wine, it's just 450 calories. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have like 1,000 upwards.
Wow.
And in our small bottles, which a lot of people tend to buy now, especially if they're drinking in the week and they just want one little one, it's 200 ml and it's just 120 calories in those bottles.
Wow.
So, women just love them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
practically good for you, really, is what you're saying, isn't it? Like, if you're going to choose a snack,
I
120
never said
calories, like a little snack of some wine,
Don't snack, drink wine.
I feel like I could snack on wine. I feel I would save my 120 calories instead of a rice cake. I'm not dissing any brand of rice cake out there, but I would rather a small bottle of wine.
You only get about one Jaffa cake for that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You just have the wine on you.
Maybe the Jaffa cake in the day and then the wine in the evening.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Maybe, the Jaffa cake
somewhere.
did the full moon, half moon, total eclipse, didn't they?
Oh my God,
I feel like there's some
like
marketing in there. I feel like I'm being a genius.
You're a genius.
I enjoy.
I love that. Amazing. So the journey into this industry, that was, you mentioned in a story, we've had you as a guest quite a few times because you're absolutely amazing. You mentioned that you were going to events and you were drinking all of this wine and that's where it sparked from.
Yeah, I guess that's where the idea initially came from, because I knew I wanted my own product because what was happening, for example, we were working with like a cosmetics brand and then they would pay one of my influencers £1,000. My influencers would post about them. They'd end up with £30,000 in the bank. So the return on investment in the initial stages of influencer marketing was just insane. It's a lot more saturated now and you don't get that same return. But initially it was just insane. So obviously I could just see like, wow, we're growing these businesses so quickly and, with such little budget. I could do that if I had my own product, but what do I want my product to be? And then I knew I wanted something that had longevity, because what I was witnessing was people were just setting up a website really fast and cheap.
Yeah.
They were buying like a load of crap from China, flogging it on the website via an influencer and then shutting down the business and just going, oh yeah, cashing in, thanks, bye.
Wow.
I didn't want to do anything like that. It needed to be something I was passionate about. It was going to have longevity. I could really make it a career. So I'm like, well, what do I love? Okay, the only thing on earth that I love is wine. So then I'm like, well, how could I create a wine that's different? What's going to be the USP? And that's when it clicked. It clicked because I was going to basically any event that I was invited to, I would go to. And you get a glass of wine on arrival, champagne, Prosecco generally. And I was just gaining weight rapidly. And I'm like, why am I gaining this quickly? Like, I'm not eating that much. And I thought, it's all that alcohol that I'm drinking. And then I thought, the amount of calories in wine, so I started looking into it, and it's really high. I mean, not everything. Like, you get people arguing with you on social media. Actually, a glass of red only has this. Obviously not every wine, but a lot of your bubblies, they do have a lot of sugar in.
Yeah.
Champagne a bit less so. But Prosecco, you know, if you get an extra dry, or if you dare to get a demi-sec, it's literally full to the brim of sugar.
I think the price as well. I think the lower they get in price, the more they just don't care.
Because it's mass produced, and they just lash at anything in it.
Yeah.
And that's so ours as well. It's vegan, it's organic, it's low in sulfites as well. It's not completely free of sulfite, but it's low. So loads of our feedback that we get online from customers is no hangover whatsoever.
Love it.
Yeah. And we always get that. And it's my favourite. When someone rates it, I'm like, yes. But I always say, you know, if I was to drink a bottle, I don't get a hangover. But obviously if I started drinking more than that, then I would.
Yeah.
But I could easily drink a bottle and have no hangover, be bright and breezy, and just be like, oh, hello. Because it's like it's as clean as it can get, but without removing the alcohol.
So how do you even begin to set up a wine business? You know, when you're like, if I went to my mum and said, now tonight, oh, Mum, do you know what? I think I'm going to set up a wine business.
You're not doing that.
I'm not going to set up a wine business. There's very good ones out there.
Do not do it.
But how do you even begin to do that?
So with me, I just started like researching, and I was like, right, I need to go and visit wineries. So I literally just got on a plane to Italy and started visiting wineries. It was a really sad time. And I would just drink all the wines that were on offer in these wineries.
Doesn't sound like a sad.
Sounds like great research.
It's just so sad. Yeah. But yeah, we just tried. I tried honestly so many, and then it was more how like the wineries that you met, you would think, could we work together? Because what most of them want to do is they just want to sell you what they've got on the shelf and say, put your own label on it, no one will know. That's not what I wanted. I needed this product to be made specifically for me. Yeah. And therefore, you know, I'm not just white labeling something, I'm creating it alongside the winery. Now, very few, that already ruled out probably 50% because they're like, no, our wine will go away. Then, you know, there's others, but they're not a vegan winery, or there's others, but they're not an organic winery. You know, there wasn't, especially at the time, there wasn't everyone that was like the full shebang. So then I whittled it down to probably about 5 wineries, and then I visited them. They were all family run. They don't mass produce anything, you know, they really care about the grape, and they were willing to work with me to create the recipe. Wow. So it was when I found my winery now, I just knew when I tasted the wine, when I met them, when I seen the place, I just knew like, you're the one. And then that was that. We've worked with them ever since.
The beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important, isn't it, in business, is that, you know, that we do take that time to do all of that research, and that really, really well thought out research, but that also when you're doing, you know, the research, that there's a really clear goal in mind, and that you're really set, and that's something that you've always been, isn't it? Really driven. I know we've asked you before, have you ever had imposter syndrome? You're like 100% no, never. Like, you know.
Ask me again today.
Oh, stop.
No. But you know, to have such a clear vision for where you want to go, who you will work with, why you will work with them, and what your mission and end goal is. Yeah. That's like admirable, like absolutely admirable.
It is.
No sobbing today.
No. Held it
Thank
back.
you.
I love that. So what's the hardest challenge that you've had to come in business, and do you have any advice for viewers of how, if you got through that?
Yeah, okay. So my hardest time is happening right now as we speak, which is why, obviously, I was very honest with you about, what if I break down? What if I start crying? Because I'm in the thick of it. Yeah. And when I say about like asking you, if you ask me about imposter syndrome now, I'd be like, I feel it. Because it's now that I'm like going through the ultimate shit.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Just take a breath. Take a breath. Yeah. It's absolutely fine. There's no rush.
Are you editing this?
We're not live, don't you worry.
Okay, good.
But this is really important because we go through shit all the time in business, and nobody sees the majority of that, and
Yeah.
then they think it's really easy to run a
Oh,
business.
you know,
Or they
it's
see
funny
what's
you
on
say that.
social media and they think that she's
I'm going to do
smashing
that
it.
yeah.
because
Like
it's
that.
amazing.
Well, that's why I've been so honest on social media, and that's why most people know this full story that I'm about to tell you anyway. But most people know because I put it out there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
And this week I've spent time with like 3 women. I've literally like been living in a cave. I haven't been coming out. I haven't been doing any networking, nothing, because I felt that bad. But I've met 3 women this week who were my mates on LinkedIn. And like we'd never even met in real life, but I've spoke to them that much on LinkedIn that I went out, had a coffee with them. Anyways, the shit that they're going through from a business perspective, one in particular, probably maybe not worse than my situation, but on par.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, wow, I would never have known.
No.
Never have known. And it's because nobody comes to the surface with the shit.
Yeah.
It's just like they're happy to be out there when everything's going well.
Yeah.
But when everything's going like knocking
Not
you
so
down,
great.
you know, you and you do want to retreat because that's what I wanted to do. But I had to force myself because I wanted to make sure that these people, anyway, I'll get to the story. So when I first created the wine, I created it via a wine agent. Well, not via. When I got to Italy, a wine agent met me and drove me around to like 20 vineyards, basically, because he spoke Italian. I didn't. He spoke English. And most of the vineyards could not speak English. So he drove me around and, you know, he gave me a list, and I gave him a list of some that I wanted to go to. And together we drove around. Anyway, we had great time, great friends. He's like an older man, you know, family, kids, the lot. I really trusted him, and like we really got on really well. So what I would do is I would pay him for the wine and he would pay the winery. And I think I always thought it worked out quite well because he would always get like, because he ordered so much from that particular winery, he'd get like a bulk discount and things like that. He had a great relationship with them because he could speak their language. So I always thought, oh, it's actually better doing it this way. It's quite clean. Anyway, about a year and a half ago now, I paid him for my wine around £60,000 and he never paid the winery.
Ouch.
So the winery had my wine there ready to go, obviously bottled, everything's labelled. Like I've obviously got everything trademarked, the lot.
Yeah.
But the contract I had with Giuseppe, who was this wine agent, was between me and him. And then the contract with the winery was between him and the winery. So there was no contract between me and the winery directly, which is a lesson.
Yeah.
That I've, you know, that would never happen again. But it meant that legally, regardless, because I was saying to the winery, look, I know he hasn't paid you. I've paid him. Like, this is a living nightmare, but I will pay you for that wine because I want it and I need it anyway. And it was going to take to make another batch, another 3 to 4 months. So I was like, I need it now, today. Like, I've got no business without this. So let me pay you for it and give it to me. And they were like, we cannot give it to you even if you pay us because the contract's with Giuseppe. And the laws are that tight that they can't give that. So that wine is literally sat there with them still. I had to order it again. That left me 3 months with no wine, 4 months nearly. It left me with 0p in the bank, literally. So I always had like comfortably like a buffer of cash because Social Nation's always been really profitable. Like there's no overheads. You know, you need a phone, a laptop, some staff, and you know, you're making money. There's no overheads. Think has got warehouses, shipping, bottle costs, you know, Italians, like it's got everything, you know, overheads galore.
Yeah.
So I always had like a buffer of cash that was completely wiped on Giuseppe, took me stock. So from there I was like, okay, well, I've got to try and sue you, but like that sits in the back because I've got no money to sue you right now. So let me just buy me wine and crack on with my business. But what happened there was I never really wanted an investor until as late on as possible.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be super established so that I would get what it was worth to become an investor and think.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'd rather wait a couple of years and, you know, be a bit hand to mouth with how I'm operating, but know that when I do sell 20%, then I'm getting a load of money for it. And I'm not just getting, you know, what it's worth right now. So I always wanted to hold out an investment, but because of Giuseppe wiping my money, it meant that I had no choice but to look for investment. So I was humming and hawing on whether I'd do a crowdfund or whether I would do, you know, a private investor or whatever. I've always had loads of offers for investment, but it's always, you know, small fry, like, oh, I've got 30 grand there. Can I put that in, get some percent? Well, I've got 20 here. Could I put that in? But I just wanted like one person, one big lump sum, like go all in on the growth plan, which was to hit the US market.
Yeah.
And I think last time we spoke, we actually spoke about that because I'd just got in the US market really. So a girl that I knew, she introduced me to this fund called Audient Capital. And they're like a private equity fund. And they were like, they basically all but groomed me. You know, it was like, oh, this is amazing. We could really be a strategic partner for you. It's not just going to be an investment of cash. It's going to be an investment of what we can bring to the table for you. We can bring you, they were starting, they're an American firm, but they're based in the Cayman Islands. One of the partners is in Australia, the other one's in New York. And they were building this big, massive complex in Miami, which is like the Trafford Centre. You know, it's got loads of bars, restaurants. It's also got your like shops and stuff. So he was like, I would put you in there as the only bubbly. So there'd be no LPR, none of that, just you. He said, we're buying an island in Australia called Dunk Island. We'll put you on there as like the only bubbly on the whole island. Like, yeah, I'm thinking like Firefest vibes.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's going to have a big party on this island. It's just going to be my wine. And yeah, like they absolutely grew me. I went to New York, I met them. We talked about, you know, all that there was about the business, talked about family life, you know, and I really like loved them, trusted them. So we got to the point of negotiation. The business at the time, it's definitely not worth this now. At the time, it was valued at $1 million. And the agreement was going to be £250,000 for 20% of the business. So, you know, I was made up. It was going to be enough for me to move forward on all my growth plans on what I was doing. And also they were going to, also that was another thing. They had shares in Hard Rock Hotel, so they could put me in 5 Hard Rock hotels, all this. So it was sold to me more on that than the cash itself. And so we negotiated terms for literally like, it went on for 6 to 8 months. And they were coming back with like pedantic stuff like, oh, we don't like that word. And that's not, that sounds too English. We like more US words. I'm like, okay. But, you know, it's like, I'm fed up now, like back and forth on stupid bits.
Yeah.
The basis of the contract is there. What's going on?
Yeah.
And so eventually we got the contract signed. So it was all signed. So then obviously I'm like, oh, great news. You know, we're ready to go.
Give me the money.
Give me the money. By this point, by the way, I'm absolutely, when I say I've got no money, I mean, I'm in debt. Because everything I'm spending on my credit card. I'm buying a van because I can't physically fit the wine in the car anymore for deliveries. You know, I'm literally in probably by this point about 70 grand's worth of debt, but it doesn't matter because 250 is coming next week.
Yeah.
And my debt's building up each time. You know, we're doing other bits and pieces like, let's do that event, let's invest in this form of marketing. And the business is growing, but so's the debt. But I'm like, it's okay, it's cool, this money's coming, we've signed off on it. And then it started being, you know, you've got to go and speak to Centaur. So this company called Centaur was their like administration department. It's basically just like an agency that facilitates like money being sent abroad. That's all they are. They kept saying like, the money's been sent. Oh, you know, blah, blah from Centaur said that they've sent it. And anyway, in the end, you know, you get fed up. I just phoned Centaur. They were like, we don't even know who these people are. Like who, what? And I was just like, what do you mean? They're like, sorry, we absolutely don't know them. Like, yeah, they've signed up for an account with us, but they've never put a penny through us. We've never even ran due diligence on them. We don't know who they are. They've never done anything through us. I was like, what? Is this real? And then it was just downhill spiral from there. We realised it was just a fake fraudulent fund.
But what would they get
people.
from that? The contract of the 20%?
I know. Yeah, well, that's what you think. What do they get from it? So luckily for me, I was on that end of it. As much as destruction as it's caused to my business, I was one of the lucky ones because what they were doing is they were going out and finding funding based on, so I'm not the only business who've done this to. I've now uncovered about 10.
Wow.
And we're all, you know, like mates in a WhatsApp group, always flipping about them. And they're still at it, by the way. Because I put a video out about all this online.
It got taken
and
down,
a girl messaged me. It got took down, but the YouTube one's still up.
Okay.
A girl from America found it and messaged me. And she said, thank you so much. You've just saved me. I was about to sign a deal with them.
Oh,
she was like,
my
but I found your
goodness.
video. And, you know, when you're just like, I'm made up. Like, that's all I wanted when I did my video, because it killed me trying to, like, just admit to all this.
Yeah.
Because you feel stupid. And like all the other people, there's actually another business from Liverpool who also this happened to. But he's targeting people all over the world. Like it's Australians, it's people in New York, it's people in Miami. They're everywhere. But you say to them, like, shall we join as a force and like go after them and do, and they're like, oh God, no, we can't let people know this has happened to us. They're so embarrassed. And like I can understand it because I was for a while as well. But I always just felt like I will feel like I feel sick until I just admit that this is what happened. And hello, this is my situation. I'm in like near 100 grand of debt now. Like I've gone from having a business that was flying with loads of money to having no money at all. And it's been hell. And trying to do it all like on your own, like not telling your staff and all that. Just been a nightmare.
Okay.
Where was I up to in the story?
That is a lot. And we really appreciate you sharing that with us, because that is a lot.
Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing to feel embarrassed about or ashamed about at all.
The very, I don't know how you'd explain it. Like you would not, for the amount of people that were involved, you know, my solicitor fell for a hook, line and sinker. You know, everyone involved. I have a board, I think. It's not just me. There's 4 other people like years older than me.
Yeah.
And not one of us for a second thought this was coming. It was also, and that's one of the things we kept thinking, but well, why? Because he's not getting any money off you. What would be the point in leading you on? And the way they'd phone you and they'd be like, Kath, calm down. There's no problems here. Like, and then you feel like an idiot. Then you just, the more you uncover. Then I found those court cases against them. He's wrapped people up in NDAs. He's done, you know, they've done all types, and they're still at it even now. But what they're actually doing is they're using businesses like mine, for example, to go and pitch to like people with money and to say, look, we've got this business think, we've got this business here, here, and here. If you invest in us, into our fund, we'll spend it with these businesses will grow, and then you'll have, you know, 10% in each of these businesses. And then they're taking the money from these people and then they're just embezzling it. So these people have been robbed from. So I'm quite lucky to be on the end of being the fake business rather than the end of businesses who they've actually given the money. So I know there's one person who's had 2 million taken.
Wow.
There's another person who's had 300 grand taken. So yeah, there's it's still ongoing. There's really nothing you can do in terms of, like, I've seen solicitors about it. The only thing I could move forward with is what's called a private prosecution, but it's like a criminal case rather than like, so you don't get money from it, but you prosecute them. Obviously, I'd love to do that, but it costs me too much. I don't have the money for that.
Yeah.
And I think even with like the amount of energy that's gone into it, I don't think I've got it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a story.
That's a
and so I'm still overcoming it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I'm going to, except for through self-development and forcing myself.
You will overcome it, 100%. Because we always say, and you've done it before, your darkest moments can become the springboards for your biggest successes if you can process this bit, let go of the guilt and the shame that you're feeling at the moment, and not let that person and that company win this battle. Because if you don't get out there and do it again and build it back up, then they've won. And you'll never let that happen because you're stronger than that. You're better than that.
Yeah.
Honestly. And you've had some really, really rubbishy times in the past as well, haven't you? That you've thought that you were never going to overcome.
It's true.
And what did you do?
Yeah, I overcome.
Exactly.
I'm sick of resilience.
You're really good at it.
Yeah. I'm just sick of it. It's like every time You know what I mean? Like you get up, you're flying.
But you know what
someone
that
just
means
whacks you
though?
down.
That's success.
Yeah.
That's success. You know you're
It's
successful
always
when
men
these
as well, that's all I can
challenges.
say.
Yeah. Damn those men.
Damn those men.
And that's
Yeah.
another reason why you're not going to let that win.
No, God, no. No,
To be
I'm
beaten
not
by a man.
I'm obviously not gonna, I'm not
No, I
gonna,
know.
but it's just like,
In the moment,
I'm in the
it's
thick of it.
hard.
And I even said, like, to Claire, I was like, are you sure you want me on this? Because I'm like mid-flow and I don't know what's going to
100%.
happen.
Do you know what? It's not honest and it's not real if we only ever invite people on a podcast who are at the top end of their business, because we all have moments, don't we, where we're like, business is a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
Like at sometimes you're like, you're flying, you're like, and then you're like, oh my God, like what happened there? How did that happen? And you'll learn so much from this. It's just you can't learn it at the moment.
Yeah.
Because you're in
Because you're
Yeah.
in it.
But
But
fighting
once you
fires.
look back, you'll be like, they're the things that are in place. And like you say, it wasn't just you that fell
No,
for
God, no.
this.
No.
They're very, very clever at what they do.
Perfect person for the job.
Yeah.
And then I actually ended up having to, so there was when I started finding other people they'd done it to, I found like another girl, she's only in London, who they currently, well, very recently they were still at it with her. So someone told me and they said like, I don't think she knows. And I said, right, pass a number, I'll phone her and tell her. Oh my God, like I just felt like, and you just know you've just crushed someone.
Yeah.
She just had like, she could already tell something was like a bit like,
Yeah.
like, oh, well, they have promised me for a few weeks, but like I could just hear her like crumbling.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow. Like,
Yeah.
But what have you just saved her?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, from that point she knew. Do you know what I mean? And
Imagine
and
if
that was
someone would
that.
have picked the phone up
Yeah.
to you.
I wish someone would have. Yeah.
And even just by having this podcast and coming on and being so
Yeah, and we'll name
real
them.
about it.
We'll put all the SEO in it.
Yeah.
So that every time they Google it,
Yeah.
they on that.
Kyle's just like,
They'll just see it.
let's talk about tea.
Get to the tea. But I am thinking, Kat, like a way that we can all help you now
Just drink more
is
wine.
by drinking more wine. Sure. So what happens with Giuseppe? Are we back there? Can we
Right.
buy the wine
So
again
what
now?
happened with Giuseppe, funnily enough? So obviously I've posted this video
Yeah.
about what's gone on with this, with Giuseppe and with the investors. And then all of a sudden, Giuseppe, who I haven't heard from in 1.5 years, contacted me out the blue.
Giuseppe feels bad.
Well, I think Giuseppe's about to die from what I get. He's like, look, hello, Katherine. I'm about to die from cancer. Do you want to pick your wine up? So it's like he's having that end of life guilt
Yeah.
where he's thinking,
I was not expecting that.
yeah,
Like,
was a twist.
Yeah.
yeah. It's that's a twist for me. It's only very recent that first hear it here first.
wow.
I feel trained.
No, I know. But I mean, I obviously don't know how to feel. Like I didn't like flip on him or anything because I thought, for God's sake, like you're already dying. Like what more can I do? But I think I'm going to get, the problem is now that wine's like over a year old.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Does that not make it vintage?
I know. I'd test the wine for you, Kat.
It's a 2-year shelf life. And as long as it's been in complete darkness, then there's no issue.
Yeah.
But we don't know. But obviously I've just said to him, okay, thanks, send me my wine, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he's been trying to, I don't know, pay his dues before he dies. Because I said to the winery, I said, like, is this true or is this so that I don't flip? Because obviously, what do I want to do? Go absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
We've tried sending him court letters, and he's just ignored them. But if he really has been dying, like, maybe that's, I don't know why he did that to me. But he's now popped up and he's now said, do you want to come and get this wine?
Yeah.
So
The problem is as well, is half
contract.
of that wine is for the US.
Yeah.
And the US no longer exists because I had to close that because of what the fake investors did.
So here in Britain, we need to drink more
So
wine.
yeah, please drink more wine.
I think that's a major shout out to all the audience.
I love the
who
fact
love
as
wine.
well that you've just said, send me the wine. Thank you.
Yeah.
You haven't even dived into it. It takes us back to Kelly's podcast with Anan and that kindness and just understanding that you don't need to know why he did it. You just need to hear what he's saying to you now. And he's saying, sorry, and here's your wine. Yeah. And all you need to say is, I welcome that. Yeah. Let him, feel that. Yeah. And then
I think like, I mean, that's a heavy case of karma, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Heavy case. But that's literally all I said. I just said thanks. Yeah. I'll collect it. Where's the address?
Yeah.
So I think I'll get my wine back, but half of it's going in the bin because it's for the US, which doesn't exist anymore. Half of it can come to England. She's not gonna and it can survive. So
bin the wine.
No, well,
processes.
Is there a reason why it has to be binned?
Yeah, because basically because it's only for a US market.
Yeah.
It can't. The way it's made is slightly altered because it's got to fit what they do, and it's all labelled for the US as well.
I can just imagine Cal being at the bottom of that bin.
I know. It made me sad as well.
Open it up, Cal said in the recycle bin.
I could wear like a Union, not a Union Jack, because that's us.
That's a Jerry Halliwell thing.
Like flag and be American for you if you want.
Fab, okay.
Yeah, we can have an American party for the American wine.
Okay.
Kelly can sing.
Kelly will sing
American songs only.
100%.
I just think this is going to be, we said dark moments, big successes.
Let's move from the dark moments and let's talk about what goals you're pursuing right now in business. And I know it'll be hard for you to see those goals and even to plan any goals, but in personal or in business, what have you got going on right now that you're
so personal
about?
Is just to get back to where I was, because like you said earlier, like I was that person who like I hadn't really experienced like mental health problems, because I always understood that like anything that upset me for a day was situational, and that's what's happened that day. Tomorrow's a new day, it's fine, and then the next day I'm fine. I've never been one to like spend time in bed or I never struggled with mental health. This has been my first time experiencing that, really. So I think what I'm trying to do now is like do more self-development, like be more positive, understand, because it felt like, because it was like a few shit things in quick succession. It wasn't like, sometimes something happens and then you rebuild and it's fine and something happens again. There was no time. It was like whack, whack, whack. And
stay down.
My brain was thinking, like, how can anything good happen to me now? Yeah. Because it's like too much bad things keep happening. There can't possibly be.
Yeah.
And I know it's just me mentality, and I know I understand enough. I've done enough self-development in my life to know that it's not true. But my brain is still thinking that. It's still thinking in this like negative manner. And I need to pull myself out of it. So personally, it's more self-development. From a professional level, I've literally, and like honestly, I hoped that this would never ever happen. I've just had to ask my mum to lend me money, which she's agreed to. I've never like took anything off them. Like, I mean, obviously when you're a kid, you know what I mean? Like keep traveling and that. But I've never took anything like substantial from them. And I've had to like go to them and say like, look, this is a really bad scenario. Like I need help here. And obviously they have. And that's helping to move me forward. But like the business itself, and this is what I said to my mum when I was talking to her about it. I said, it's like if they went, all the stuff that I did has actually worked out, because now we're selling loads online, direct to customer. We sell quite a lot wholesale. Like the business is growing. I half wish it wasn't, because then I'd just shut it down and be like, oh, thank God for that, bye. Half of me wishes I could just shut it down because of how bad I'm feeling. But then when I actually look at the numbers and the growth, I go, well, you can't have just worked on that for 4 solid years. Now it's finally making a profit and you want to close it down. Yeah. So I have to get myself to go, okay, well, no, it's actually heading in the right direction. Social Nation's still flying. Yeah. Still got great staff, still makes money, it's still profitable. But the problem is my level of debt outweighs the profits. Yeah. So even
at the
minute, of course, we'll bring it back. But right now, and the reason it is so shit, even though both businesses are technically doing well, making a profit, my debt is outweighing the profits, which is what's weighing me down so much, to the point where I'm having to ask for help, which I would never do.
Yeah. Do you know what though, as a mum, and you'll agree, you know, if one of mine came to me, which they regularly do, but in that situation, you don't realise as a mum how much that, like, goodness that feels, that you can help and watching your child and being so I know you look at it like,
she thought I was going to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, I know you look at it
I
like...
would never, by the way.
Yeah, I know you look at it like, I'm about to, but as a mum, doing that for your child and being able to do that, like, it just fills you, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's where we are. So businesses are actually, you know, they are doing well. I'm just going to get my head stuck into like more and more growth.
Yeah.
So that eventually the profits will outweigh the debt.
Yeah.
But it's going to take time. And in the meantime, I'm looking for another investor as well, which, you know, I was way off because I couldn't get myself to pitch again.
Yeah.
You know, if this was a year ago, pitch, sound. Yeah. I'll get up, I'll talk about the business, I'll show you the figures, I'll do everything, I'll be absolutely fine. If you said to me now, go and pitch that to him, I'd be like crumbling on the floor, crying.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to get myself back to a place where I can go out pitching and I can speak to people and I can network again. I used to be networking all the time. No one's seen me.
Yeah.
And all I've been doing is eating. And that's another thing. And, you know, you like, stop eating now and get out your bed.
Let's do this.
Yeah. But
maybe today
I've
was
been
an
all
amazing
right.
first
I've been all
step.
right for the past month.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
I'm just so proud that you're here with us today. Like, that's
honestly,
this is today is your beautiful new beginning. Moving forward.
So what can we do to help you if you had to?
She just wants you to tell her to buy loads of wine.
If you know any
help,
any investors that could be interested, and to be honest, like, the situation is now, it needs to be someone with a bit of a passion project, because like it's not looking that great on paper as it once was. It's got to be someone who goes, right, I can see this,
I can bring this,
and not only that, I've got some hospitality background that can push it. So, you know, any investors, obviously great, and then obviously if everyone could just buy wine, that's fantastic too.
Thinkwine.co.uk.
www.thinkwinegroup.co.uk.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, we've got our own challenges in our business, haven't we, sometimes? Especially our closing tradition on the show.
The biggest challenge.
It's the biggest challenge.
It's probably it actually did nearly stop, like, the whole thing when she nearly dived across the staff room when we were in a school, weren't we? I was making a cup of tea and she seen me nearly do it my way, and I turned around and it was done. We were done. Nearly. Almost. But how would you, if you were to make me and Cal a cup of tea, how would you go about doing that?
So I put the tea bag in, then the water, then the milk, then I swizzle it around, and then I
just winning today.
Well, Kat, I don't even feel like I can be cross with you today, because you're carrying such an awful lot that I wouldn't want to add to your load today. So graciously,
she usually turns the couch and everything and doesn't speak to the guests.
I'll step out of this and know that you don't need that
I like to
added to your
squish a little
burden.
extra out.
No, we say hug. We say hug. The tea bag hugs the
It can hug it, but just not while the milk's in there. And if actually, you know, just to put it out there, if you read the instructions on the back of the PG tips box, it very clearly says like how to make the tea as well, which never involves.
That's because you drink PG tips.
Honestly, like there's a technical thing. And if you watch the little TikTok that you put up there, then PG tips was the ultimate like tea.
What do we all drink? What do you drink?
Yorkshire tea.
Yorkshire tea.
Yeah.
Yorkshire tea.
Yorkshire tea.
Yorkshire
Really?
tea. Telly?
Yorkshire biscuit tea.
Is that a thing?
So we're going to do a thing on the podcast where I'll tell you when we stop recording.
It was lovely. There's a little spoiler for you.
That's a spoiler. You've got to keep watching. But no, you've been an absolutely incredible guest.
And thank you for being so honest. Yeah.
Honestly. And we
cannot wait to see you build up to this next level of success and the next part of the chapter, because it's not
better.
And we genuinely, since the day we met you, we've just looked up to you in business, and money doesn't amount
and
to
that will never change.
Inspiration to us. It's the challenges, and it's how you've got to where you are now, and just being dead honest with us, because that's what we're all about in our community. Look, You have your rubbish days, you have your great days, you have your in-between days, and that's just life. It's just business life. So thanks for just being so honest.
Cheers to
You're
the
welcome.
next
Thank
chapter.
you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, my dears.
Cheers.
If only it was a pink.
Oh, she spilled the tea. She spilled the tea.
I literally spilled it.